Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, we're going to take a look at EFS, so Elastic File Service. I always forget what the S stands for, if it's storage or service. Oh, they got archive now. They're always just adding stuff to this thing here. But anyway, it's not too difficult to create this, but I want to create one using CloudFormation, as I think that would be probably the best case when we're working in production. So I'm over here in our repo. This one is at AWS examples, if you're just not sure where this is. I've launched this up in Gitpod. You use what you want to use. I'm going to use this, and it's already configured for my AWS account. I'm just going to go check here, get caller identity. I'm going to make one change before I proceed here. I'm just going to switch this back over to CA Central 1. Sometimes I'm in US East 1. It depends on the use case. But I'm going to CD back here and make a new folder called EFS and CD into that. And we'll just make another folder in here called Basic. And I'll CD into that. And this is where we're going to get set up. Now I'm going to want a deployment script. So I was just doing EBS a little bit while ago there. So I'm going to just grab this deployment script. I'm going to copy it. Actually, I'll just grab these two templates here. Even though I'm not launching an EBS volume, I'm just going to go ahead here and go right-click, paste. Okay, and so now I have these two here. I'm just going to tweak this. This will be EFS Basic. And this is in CA Central 1, where I like to work. And we have an EC2 instance here, which is not a bad idea. I really just want to focus on EFS separately, just because I think there's a few things we have to configure. Let's go ahead and type in EFS CloudFormation and see what we need to get working here. So what do we have? If we scroll here on the left-hand side, we have an access point and a file system. So, and then a mount target. So we have three different things here. So I'm going to grab the first one. I have a feeling we're going to have to get all of these here. And for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and clear this out. Whoops. And so this is going to be... That's right, that's up here. This is going to be our file system, and then we want the mount target. And then we want the access point. We have three different things here. So you got some junk here from before. Just go over here. Okay, so let's focus on the file system first. Okay, creates a new empty file system for EFS. You must create a mount target to mount your EFS onto an Amazon EC2 instance. Fair enough. So we'll go down to examples, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. It'd be nice if it had most of the code for us. So let's just take a look at what we have. So we have an access point. Yeah. I want to see the file system. So here's the file system. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And this will be here. And so we'll paste that in. I don't want a backup policy. Encrypted sounds like a good idea. I don't necessarily want a lifecycle policy, and I don't know about performance mode. Let's go take a look at these. Performance mode. We have, come on, performance mode. Here we are. The performance mode is general purpose is what I want. So I'm just going to take this out so it goes to the, well, I'll just replace it. We'll just be explicit. So we'll just make it nice and cheap. I don't think I want a lifecycle policy. I'm just making sure that I don't need to specify it. It's not required. Excellent. So we'll go ahead and remove that. I don't care about file system tags. File system policy we probably need. So we'll go up to here, property, syntax. Here it is. It's not required. So for the EFS file system, a file system policy used to control NFS access to the EFS file system. So I'm not really sure if we need this at this point. But it's saying who has access to it. So you're seeing very specific principles being like, this is allowed to access it. And, you know, if we're going to launch up an EC2 instance, we might want to specify that here. Saying like this particular one. I'm not sure at this time. I don't think that we do. So I'm just going to go ahead and comment this out for now. We'll come back to this. We have the KMS key. I wonder if I have to specify that if that's encrypted. Because if it is, I don't really feel like configuring this. A Boolean value if it's true. When creating the file system, you have the option to use the KMS ID key or use the default KMS key. I'll stick with the default. That seems fine to me here. So we have our file system. I'm just going to call this one file system. to make our lives a little bit easier. We'll go back down to examples, and we have some other things here. I don't know why they have the JSON in here, but we have our file system. Excellent. That's the key. We don't care about that. And it said that we had to have a mount target. And so the mount target is going to specify where it's deployed. I'm not sure how many mount targets we have to have, so we'll just look it up. EFS mount target. Okay, so after you create the EFS system, you can create a mount target for EFS file system. Use regional classes. You can create mount target in each AZ. I only really want to do one, so let's see if we can just get away with one. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and we'll go back over here, and I'm going to go and specify our mount target here. I'm just going to say mount target. And here it's actually specifying an EC2 subnet. Well, that's not what we want, because that's not an EFS mount target. That's just a subnet. This is really what we want, is this code here. Okay. That was deploying the subnet. So we'll look at this. And here it's referencing the file system ID. So we do call this file system, so that's fine. Just going to shorten this to make it a little bit nicer. And then we have our subnet ID. I think that we specify subnet ID up here. Yep, so we'll do this. Security group, we probably want to set, so we'll come back to that in a moment. We didn't specify a subnet here. Do we have to? For one zone file systems, no. What about the VPC? How does it know where it's deploying? We must have to tell the VPC where it goes, right? Nope, okay. All right, that's fine. So we have our mount target. Now let's take a look at the access point. Creates an EFS access point. Access point is an application-specific view that allows the operating system and user groups and file system, etc., to do that. So we'll go down to examples here. And so we have an access point, root directory, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it looks like something. Let me just read this a bit more. I don't think we have to have an access point. So until we actually need one, I just can't remember. We'll just leave that out for the moment. But we have our mount target group. We're going to need a security group here. So I'm going to go and just split this across. I'm going to go back to EBS. And I want to go into basic. And we'll go into template here. And I want to grab the security group. So go ahead and copy this. I'll paste this in. This is allowing ingress and egress from anywhere. Is that a good idea? It's probably fine. For our example, we might just want to create a security group and then add this one to the load balancer if we want to do that. Or we could just say anything from this particular one. I'm not exactly sure how we specify that in one go here, if we can tell it how to do that. But I'm just going to bring these onto the correct lines. I like to put them always above type here. So I'm just thinking about this. Let me just go look this up. And I'm just wondering, can we specify our own security group? Because we have security group ID, the default VPC, the name of the security group. So you must specify either the security group ID or the security group name. You can't specify both. Yeah, because I'm just thinking, like, how would you tell this to specify its own name? I'm not sure. So I'm going to leave this alone and just leave it open up to the internet. Is it best practice? Probably not, but I just want to make sure that we can get this to work. So let's go ahead and set up this file system. I think that this has everything that we need, except that this is not specified correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in SG here. Whoops. So we'll just say ref SG. I always think that it's like something else here. Because if we go to this one, yeah, it's like group ID. So what is this one expecting? Because that kind of matters. I'm going to go back over to our mount target because it might be the ID or it might be the name. I wish they were very consistent about this, but they're not. Up to 5 security group IDs. So it's going to be group ID then. And there's no colon here. That doesn't make any sense. And it looks like it's supposed to be an array. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to cd into, oh, we're already there, basic. I'm going to go ahead and try to deploy this, and we'll see what happens. Unresolved SG group ID. Well, it's right here, buddy. And this one has it like that. Oh, it's get ATT. That's why. So we'll try this again. We'll go ahead and deploy. We're going to go over to here. And I'll go over to CloudFormation. Change sets, and we'll execute change sets. Okay, and we'll wait for that to deploy. Yep, so while we're waiting for this to deploy, I'm just going to take a look here and see what we have. Because the security group is created. Actually, we'll wait for this to create just in case there's an issue. I don't want to create the EC2 instance and have a problem, so we'll just wait, okay? All right, so that is now provisioned. What I'm going to do is go over to EC2. And we'll just create one manually. It's not that big of a deal. We don't do everything via CloudFormation. But I'm going to go here and create a new instance. I'm going to launch it. I'm going to launch it so that it's in the same subnet as the other ones. I just want to double check and make sure what subnet it's in. So go back to EFS here. And we go into here. I'm looking for... they changed the UI on me from last time I was in here. Here? Where is it? Regional? Okay. But we launched it in a specific subnet. Well, we made a mount point, right? Or a mount... Where is it? They used to show you here somewhere. See, Central 1, okay. Let's go back to our code. I'm really confused because we have a mount target, right? And it's in a particular subnet. Well, I mean, we could just look up which subnet it is. I just want to guarantee that this is going to work correctly, but it's saying it's regional, so maybe it works everywhere. Normally, like when you launch it via the EFS, via the ClickOps, it'll actually have it in every single region, the mount targets, and that's why I'm getting confused. But what we'll do is go ahead and just do this, and this one is CA Central 1B. So I'm just going to launch my EC2 instance in CA Central 1B. And we'll go here, we'll say launch instances, EFS example, Amazon Linux 2023, T3, micro. I don't want to keep here. I want to be in 1B just in case. 1B, excellent. I'll leave everything else alone. I'll drop this down here. I'm going to create or add the SSM role here. Excellent. We'll go ahead and launch this instance. Now, what I'm curious about, does it have the commands for us so that we can quickly connect to it? I remember before they did, but they might have changed it since last time I used it. Yeah, here we go. We have instructions. So mount via DNS or IP address. So these are the instructions that we're looking for. And so this should, in theory, work. So I'm going to go back over to EFS here, make a new folder or file, readme.md. And I'm going to copy this one and paste. And this one and paste. So mounting. Obviously, you can't use mine. Yours is going to be a little bit different than mine. We'll go back over to our EC2 instance. We'll take a look at it. We'll wait for it to pass its status checks, okay? All right, let's take a look here, give this a refresh. And it is now running. I'm going to go ahead and connect to our instance here. And we'll go over and do sudo su-ec2 user. There we go. And I want to go back over to here and grab these. So we'll try the first one, which is the mount line. We'll paste that, hit enter. It says sudo mount t. Well, wouldn't we have to create the directory first? Otherwise, how would it mount it? And it doesn't show that here. Sudo EFS mount helper. All right, give me a second. So here's a question. Is this tool installed? So let's go take a look and see if this works. Normally for Amazon Linux 2, this is the instructions. And so I'm not sure what it will be for Amazon 2023 as they don't keep things super up to date here in the instructions. We'll go ahead here. And so it is installing it. So it wasn't installed before. And maybe that's the reason why it wasn't working. So we'll go back over to here. But, I would think that we'd have to create a folder like EFS first so it knows what to mount to. But we'll go ahead and paste this in. And it says EFS mount point doesn't exist. So that makes me think again that we have to specify where it's mounting. So I think the last part is actually the directory that we want it to mount to. That's probably what it is. I would have thought that it would be somewhere in our mount directories, like we'd place it in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new directory called mount EFS. Go to sudo here. Let's see if I can do this here. And we'll hit up again. And then I'll just do / mount EFS and see if that makes it happy. There we go. So I think that's what we need to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and write this in our instructions. So what did we do first? We installed that tool, which was, say, setting up. Sudo yum install -y Amazon EFS utils. And then the other part of that was sudo mkdir mount EFS. And we'll just change this to be mount EFS. I'm going to assume that this one is supposed to be mount EFS as well. I'm not sure why the line in here is twice, because this one says NFS4 and this one says EFS. So why do we have two of those here? Did we just copy both of them? Oh, using the mount helper. Okay, so whether we want to use NFS the old way or the mount helper, I see. Okay, so we don't need both those lines. This is like the older way is what I'm kind of used to. But yeah, this one is a lot more simplified. But I'm going to go back over to here. And what I want to do is cd into the mount directory. ls, and I'm going to just touch a file. Say touch hello.txt. We'll give this sudo. Okay, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to terminate this instance. Okay, so the idea is that if this works, then the instance is going to stick, like the EFS is going to persist the data, and if I launch a new instance, okay, and then mount that one, then it should be able to access that file. So we'll just say my EFS2. This will be Amazon Linux 2. I'm going to make this a T3 micro. We'll go down below here. We do not need a key pair. I'm going to choose, we said 1B. There we go. This is fine. We'll go all the way down to the bottom. We will choose here SSM role. We'll go ahead and launch this instance. We will not launch this with a key pair. And we'll wait for this instance to launch, and then we will mount it there. And if it connects, then we know that we're in good shape, okay? All right, so our other instance is running. We'll go ahead and connect to that one. Instance is not connected to Sessions Manager. Yes, you are. I gave you permission to do so. There we go. You have to know what you do so that just confidence in what you configured it as is what I'm trying to say there. And I know that I hooked it up for Sessions Manager. So we connect to this again. And so we have our instructions over here. So I'm going to go ahead and install this. So the mount helper. And then we will create that folder there. We will mount the directory, which will take a little bit of time here. There we go. And we'll say mount EFS ls, and there's the file. So there you go. That's what we wanted to do there. Did we use EFS in the most secure way possible? No, but do we know how to utilize it now? Yes. So that is our basic EFS example. Let's go over to CloudFormation, tear that down. All right, and I will see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.